And we're live. Welcome. Welcome to you, the viewer. Welcome to our fantastic panel, everyone beside me and below me down there. It's the After Dram. And that means it's time to relax. So put your feet up, grab a dram or two, or a cocktail or two, I should say in this case, and relax. And as a quick recap of our early evening, I just want to say, Dave, Joss will be here in a second. Rich and I have been given a top-notch tour of Bridgeland Distillery here in Calgary. Daniel and Jacques have answered numerous questions. We put them on the spot. They did fantastic. And they've represented themselves and this distillery terribly well. It was fun, it was educational, and it was tasty. It was really good. So let's have another round of introductions. We're going to start again with Jacques and Daniel, and then we're going Dave, and then I'm going to hit Cheryl, and then Kent and Rich, you'll finish us off unless Josh shows up, and then we're going to pop him on. So Jacques, a quick introduction again, and if you two gentlemen can describe what's in our glasses, or just tell everybody what we got in our glasses.
All right, I'm Jacques Tremblay, one of the co-owner of Bridgeland Distillery, and we're going to drink, I'm going to present you the Old Fashioned.
Great, and I'm Daniel Plenzik, one of the other co-owners and distillers here. I guess I'll talk about one of the products here, the Manhattan cocktail that we create. We got two incredible classic whiskey cocktails, and then we'll have a third one at the end. Our very good friends at Spalumbo's came up with called the Godfather.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dave, you're up.
Dave's muted.
Let's unmute.
All right. Technology gets the best of me at most times. It's Yukon Dave coming from the basement. And I've never had an old fashioned or a Manhattan. So this will be the best two drinks I've ever had.
Yes. Thank you so much. Cheryl, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl, and I go by Cheryl's_1 on social media. And happy to be joining you tonight from Bridgeland because I enjoy every single one of their products. Great stuff.
Hi, my name is Kent. I go by Whiskey Ass on pretty much every platform. And we currently locked ourselves in this room. We've got the best room in the house.
We're not leaving.
We're out of here.
They control the keys. It's all them. Thank you so much. Rich, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm hitting it from my basement, too, like Dave. But I think where Cheryl and Whiskey Ass are is kind of where I'd like to be right about now. So
it's a good spot. And like I said, if they have the keys and, I don't know, they'll let me in, I'm sure. I don't know, Jack and Daniel. And where I am, if you can look around, this is the tasting room at this lovely distillery. So it's not just a distillery. Bridgeland is a tasting room. And you know what? If I could show you outside, I'm going to turn the camera around. Oh, sorry, my wife will take a picture and I'll just show you the picture. But we've got the beautiful fire roaring outside and the guests that are allowed to be with each other because COVID's still happening here at this point, but they're allowed to eat. We're all separated. We're doing fantastic. I love this. And here's the outside, what it looks like. And there, and the fire on the side. It's a perfect place to be, guys. So, and there's still time. You guys are open till 10 o'clock, right?
Yes. Exactly.
Come on down. Just don't get my shot in the background so I can make sure I have this. And I love this sun. I've got a picture of that sun I want to show. Actually, I'll pop it up here. And on brand, here's the sun. Actually, I'll show you all these. So there's the distillery. It's going to look like that in about 2 hours. That's what it looked like this morning. Here's those two handsome fellas there. And here's the sign behind me that I wanted to talk about. So you can see that over my shoulders. I like it. So I just like artwork, and whenever we could actually promote that a little bit, that's kind of what I want to do. Just like Dave, he's got it all there. Got everything. Now, let's delve into the questions. And again, this is the After Dram, so this is open up. But I want to know about the location because I love the location of the distillery. And you said, and here's a quote, the location of the distillery is rooted in the community of Bridgeland Riverside with over 100 years of history and rich in culture and a sense of community. You also stay in your brochure that Bridgeland is a working man's neighborhood that has a history of wine and beer making. So the history part, and not just that Daniel lived here before, but did that help you choose the location of this place? And how did you find it? Because this was a furniture store before. It was a high-end furniture store, Eisenberg, before, right? And I remember that most Calgarians do when you come up and down Edmonton Trail. You see it.
Oh,
What gave you the idea?
Well, yeah, and my parents still have a dining room set from this old furniture store, so loved it. And this building is almost iconic in Calgary. The beautiful green marble and gold that you see on the outside, everyone knows it. I used to see it every day, just going back and forth to school. Bridgeland is one of the oldest communities in Calgary. A lot of history here. Some of the first, immigrants that came to Canada would have been, Germans that settled here in Bridgeland. Eventually, then the Italians had also moved in, and there was a lot of, winemaking, distilling grappa. You'd smell a lot of tomato sauce going in the air here in Bridgeland. It's a beautiful place to be in the fall. A lot of nice smells, and it was kind of one of the reasons why we picked it. When this building came up, it was available. We had been looking, for a building for, I'd say about 8 months. And when this one finally came up, it was like, wow, this is the perfect spot to open a distillery.
And it works really well. All the windows, so you could showcase your hardware on the inside, the beautiful tasting room, and a nice big patio. Really, the front of the store, this is fantastic. I'm looking at there. And although I'm nice and comfy in here, I think I'd like to be outside for a little while too. So it was really...
It was raining today. It was covered, and everyone was having a good time.
Yes. And when you got a fire in front of you and booze in your hand, you don't care. You just don't care. The other thing, though, it seems like the perfect place for tourists and locals, because locals will get to know this area. And this is just starting to get gentrified, just starting to move up, and everyone wanting to move in here. And the prices of the houses are skyrocketing. But you're still close to downtown. Were you thinking about tourists a lot, or were you thinking about locals, or were you doing everything?
Yeah, and I mean, as you know, location of a distillery, it's always like $1 million questions, right? Because you want to attract foot traffic, but you also want to be in line with all the fire code regulations and everything. So as we with filter, we came to call it, like, whenever you come across that unicorn, like, give us a shout, right? So it's really back to your questions, right? We wanted to be close to downtown, not in an industrial area, because we knew the value of being able to invite tourists and people on a tour here. We do tours on a weekend, on Sunday. We have a guy named Bill. He's a great resource. He's really knowledgeable about the whole process, and he's wonderful with our guests. So it was important to have that component in our thing, in our location.
He's the head of the amateur winemakers of judges in Alberta, so he's quite knowledgeable as well with what we do and taste our spirits. So.
Nice. Sorry, Joss. The order that we're doing is the old-fashioned, the Manhattan, and then the Godfather. If you've got those, that's the order that we're. But no, I don't know if we're going to compare. I think we're just going to drink them continually, and that's it.
No, I love it. I love it. I was actually wondering about the bottle you have there. That square design. It's a really nice, unique bottle. I've only ever seen something similar with Whiskey Drop, which is another Albertan-based. They're obviously a storefront, but they've been doing some of their single cask releases in a very similar style bottle. So I was just wondering if you guys kind of came to that bottle design and why that shape? What drew you?
Good question.
It was actually, we were returning from Louisville, Kentucky, where we had, went to go see our beautiful still there, and going through the Toronto airport, and we said, we got to pick a bottle, right? And we were kind of going through different manufacturers and seeing what was out there. And we just wanted to stick out. And when we saw this beautiful square, what they call actually cubic bottle, we just kind of fell in love with it. We were just developing kind of the logo as well at the time. This is one of the bridges that crosses the Bow River here that runs into downtown. And it's honestly just 2 blocks just south of us here. And I think it was, Jacques had mentioned, well, why don't we do something about putting the bridge right on the corner of the bottle? And it works out great because, most times, people are wondering, well, how, which bottle do I buy, right? Like, so you just kind of, where is it there? Got to do this backwards. You just buy them both, so you can put them together, right? So, there's the bridge. There's the bridge. We're engineers. We're geeks too, so.
You have to buy 2 bottles too. That's perfect marketing. You have to buy 2 bottles. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Turn on its sides, and you have to buy 2 bottles. It's a good idea. And you know what? When did that come into the equation? Because that's a perfect question, Josh. It's a beautiful bottle. It sticks out. And Kent and Cheryl can tell you about the whiskey drop bottle as well a little bit later in the After Dram, if you want. But when did you think about the branding? About the bridges, because it's also part of your stills as well, in your still room, and it's part of everything. So who thought about that, or did it just?
Well, we were thinking of a name for the distillery now that we were in Bridgeland, and eventually we just kept coming back to just Bridgeland Distillery. So it's very simple, but it's truly where we wanted to be and we wanted to showcase. And we had other names like, Jacques Daniel, but I think it was taken. So,
and as far as the design is concerned, we wanted to highlight the beauty of the bridge through a nice design, simple design, but also honoring a bit our past of engineers, right? So that's why there's that bridge, but also there's also a nice free form to it. So
and to showcase something of a premium product. So we wanted kind of looks like a perfume bottle or a
So question on the cocktails. Are you guys making these RTDs? Or
that's basically our answer to RTDs, right? We're not going to, when it comes to packaging, we're adamant keeping our bottles, our design, but when it's ready to drink, we like our drinks in a higher ABV format. So that's why all those ones are in high 20s, low 30s, as opposed to just a can of 6 or 7%. So.
What's an RTD? Someone help me.
Ready to drink.
Ready to drink. Yeah. Is that in a can? Is that? I think that was
or bottle.
Okay.
So like their little 200 ml bottles that they were showing us earlier, that'd be a perfect ready to drink bottle.
Rich, you're a purist like me, I think, in many respects. Are you okay with these ready to drink things? It just seems like, I don't know. It's just something some kid's going to pop open underneath.
Well, I am a purist at heart, but I'm up for contamination if anybody wants to poison me. So yeah, bring it on.
You got your 6 samples tonight. So how are we enjoying the first one? How's the old fashioned going down? And I'm going to start with Dave because it's his first old fashioned.
Well, I'm already on number 2, so I'm ahead of the curve for once. Yeah, it's really interesting. This is, for me, it's really drinkable. I really like it. And normally I'm too lazy to make it myself, so this is perfect. Yeah, well, you and I don't do well with mixed drinks, so if anybody watched this show before, it's a disaster.
It's a disaster. But we try. We do try, Dave, and we're going to get kudos for our trying. But this is not my first old fashioned. I've had a couple, and I've made a couple, and I'm enjoying this a lot. So it's great. But I've never had it in a Glencairn, and I think people should try cocktails in a Glencairn glass.
Oh, I got a small. Whoops,
Yeah.
do that.
Well, and you're branding on it too. It's perfect.
Well, I don't want that to be seen. If I could figure this out. But do you find that it's the younger people buying the mixed drinks?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, it was like Ryan Cokes, Ryan Ginger, right? Like nobody talked about cocktails, maybe a martini or something like that. But everyone knows what an old fashioned is now. Negroni.
Except for me.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's the very first cocktail that we produced in a bottle. So, yeah.
I mean, that fashion was basically, there's three main ingredients, and it features the three line of spirits we're making, because the base is what we call the 3-grain spirit, which is our bourbon, but it's only been aged a few months. That's the base we're using in that old fashioned and in the Manhattan. Then in typically an old fashioned, you would garnish with an orange peel. So there would be an orange twist to it. And what we did is we use our brandy and infuse it with oranges. So that was our orange liquor, if you will, that would use that orange twist on the old fashioned. The third component is our bitters. Bitters are basically the spice of that drink. And we made it from scratch using the cardamom, the cinnamon have been infused in grappa, and that's basically what you find in the bottle is those three whiskey, brandy, and grappa in one drink.
So can I ask a question? And like, how's the price point on this versus, let's say, the bourbon?
Yeah, so for the same size bottle, 500 mils, we sell our old-fashioned $38, and the bourbon, which has been here aged for 12 months, we sell it for $48. So slightly less in terms of price point.
Okay.
Excellent. And you know what? I'm going to piggyback on this a little bit. Joss, I want to know what you think about this. Actually, go ahead. I thought I was going to forget, but you're old-fashioned. What do you think, bud? First of all, I want to know, are you a cocktail guy? Are you pretty good at making cocktails?
You know, I played bartender for a few years there. I did actually do a little bit of bartending overseas when I was traveling. Way long ago. But yeah, those days are long gone. I'm mostly a beer and whiskey guy now, but I can definitely appreciate a good cocktail, especially when one's made for me.
And are you like me? You'd rather have something pre-made, or are you great making your own? You're just happy to do it, or do you just want it?
I definitely like it when someone makes it for me. I'd be happy to pick this up. I mean, I have a bunch of friends in the in the bartender scene. They make way better cocktails than I do. So when you have their stuff and you try to make it yourself, it's never quite the same. So
that's the same thing when I do stuff. When Cheryl and Kent make it, it's like, put this in, put this, do this. It's like they say, what is that abortion of a drink? That's horrible. They hate it.
That is in Manhattan.
And I've got to say, my worst one was they told me to put maraschino cherry juice in it, and that's where the abortion of a drink comes. That's a quote from a movie, by the way. It's not that bad. And yeah, I put actual maraschino cherry.
It was supposed to be the maraschino.
Yeah. Ooh, you're smoking it.
Oh yeah, nice.
Fantastic. Tell us what you're doing there, Daniel.
At the distillery, we'll actually we'll smoke the glass, and we have these beautiful, perfectly clear ice cubes, like ice spheres, actually.
Yep. Nice. Yep.
And we'll smoke the glass. Beautiful. We'll add we'll just add the right out of the box. Typically, our great mixologist there at the front there, Jeremy, he'll cool it down, he'll chill it first, he'll mix it in the mixing glass, then we'll you'll garnish it with a dehydrated orange, and boom, enjoy.
And boom. Well, and hopefully you see him behind me every once in a while making stuff. It'd be kind of cool. So I want to throw a quote up here because it works with what we're doing. And here we go. We're passionate about craftsmanship and creating premium brandy, whiskey, and grapalo. We are passionate about our community, paying respect to tradition, building up that tradition, and elevating it to another level. We are passionate about our family, including the family we chose. So what do you mean by bringing tradition with innovation? Because it's everywhere. So on your signs, on other articles I've read, what do you mean by that? So tradition, but where's the innovation with tradition?
Exactly. So for example, tradition. Like we wanted to do traditional products first of all. So like your whiskeys, brands, and grappas, using a traditional kind of pot still, but with innovative components. Like for example, you saw earlier our beautiful coil over our pot still. That would be an innovation that introduced to our traditional pot still. Bourbon, for example, like.
Another innovation that we've been doing is we make our bourbon exactly like single malt is done in Scotland. As you know, bourbon in the U.S. it's mash, it's basically fermented with the grain, it's distilled with the grain. We wanted to do something different, so the innovation came that we basically doing lautering. We are rinsing our corn out of the sugar and just ferment the wort, right? We're not bringing the grain across in fermentation and in the pot still for distillation. What it gives us, it's a much cleaner product. Just malt is, right? There's no off flavor imparting in the husk and other byproduct of the corn. So it's another example of innovation.
Perfect.
Yeah, until we introduced the bourbon, the old fashioned, it's still very popular, but it's always been popular since day one, since we released it. And more and more distilleries now are starting to release old fashions as well. We just found like some of the bigger brands that were releasing old fashions in a bottle, they were just kind of a little too sweet for our liking. Everything we make has got to be balanced, and that's what you find here tonight.
Beauty. Dave, I'm finally catching up to you. I'm on the Manhattan now. How's the rest of us? Are we all?
I'm just catching up too. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what's in Manhattan, please, Jacques or Daniel?
Yeah, a typical Manhattan is probably after the old fashioned, the single most popular whiskey cocktail. It's typically 2-part vermouth, 5-part whiskey. This is what you get in a classic Manhattan. So what we did here is a bit like the old fashioned. We wanted to do everything from scratch. We didn't want to buy a bunch of vermouth in liquor stores and mix it with our bourbon. So we started the difficult task of making vermouth. It took us a few months to nail it. And we wanted to use also local ingredient because the vermouth it's one component. There's also a bitter component that we get to instead of using traditional bitters, we use an Amaro that was made with radicchio that is grown here in Bridgeland in Dan's mother garden. So it's another twist of local things. There's lots of flavor in that Manhattan. The one that hits you probably in the face, it's that vermouth component where you will get the oregano in the aroma and in the flavor, but the radicchio gives a good bitter side of the Manhattan.
Yeah, no one would think to use radicchio. We've had some Amaros that use radicchio. We actually made an Amaro for a local restaurant here. They're named Cardinale. And
Okay.
One of the owners there, he just loves Amaro. And the more bitter, the better for him. And we chatted about that. We did a lot of trials with the radicchio. We tried a ripe red radicchio versus an unripened green radicchio. And it was amazing. It was actually the green radicchio that was quite nice in there. So,
All right. Thank you very much, and I'm loving it, and I'm loving the tart up here, and yeah, the spice, the light spice right up front, it's fun. It's fun, but it's going down. I'm going to say this goes down way faster than a whiskey. It's a bit dangerous, but I'm going to ask the panel. Panel, let's open this up. What do you guys think about it? Anybody?
My question is on your vermouth. Did you try playing between dry and wet, or dry and sweet vermouths? Doing the red and the green is kind of neat, but did you do it through the sweet or the dryness as well?
Yeah, we were aiming for a sweet vermouth, so we didn't dabble yet on the dry vermouth. They'll probably be the next mention.
Okay, and my next question is, where are my bottles?
Yeah, you gonna bottle it for us?
Oh, the vermouth?
Go buy them. They're behind me. On your way out, grab 2 or 3. It's all. Joss, Richard, Dave, what do we think?
I'm really surprised. I'm not a cocktail guy by any stretch. Similar to Dave, I think it just takes a long time to mix some stuff up when I can just grab a bottle of whiskey, pour it in a glass, and have at her. So this is, I think, the first time that I've ever had 3 cocktails all together, all at once. Probably I probably haven't had 3 cocktails in a single week or month, to be honest. So this is really impressive. The flavors in there, yeah, it's just so different from what I'm used to, and highly enjoyable. I love sweets. I love candy. I love ice cream. So I'm kind of liking this.
Nice. I'm glad.
I had ice cream for lunch.
Yeah,
Dave, we got to hang out more, I think.
It's a tricky one because you've got obviously like your whiskey enthusiasts or your let's just say single spirit enthusiasts, and you've got your cocktail people, and you kind of have those that dabble on both sides. And like this is like that product that speaks to that demographic. So are you is it going to lure them in? Is it going to pull in the people from the whiskey side? Is it going to pull in the people from the cocktail side? And I think again, I think kind of like Richard, I definitely kind of I'll more likely vie for that single that dram, but I definitely am enjoying the second one. It's very tasty.
Thank you very much, Jack and Daniel.
And
And
that-
All I want to say is I've got a candied orange simple syrup at home that is going to go really good with your vermouth.
Oh yeah. There was a question earlier about that if we wanted to sell our product. Definitely our approach was to go, this is our gin and vodka. This is the first thing we released to make more on the cash flow side, right? So this was our way to get into the market and attract new whiskey and brandy down the road, brandy people.
So they're both very enjoyable. I'm going to go for the old fashioned because I really like that orange on the nose, and it seems almost a little fuller body.
Yeah, it's actually that orange liqueur we make from brandy is
Yeah.
like process to how we make our limoncello. So, I mean, I'm Italian and I don't like limoncello because it's too sweet. Normally, what they do is they take lemon rind and they'll immerse it in a clear spirit, 95% vodka, and they'll extract that lemon flavor, the color, but they also extract a lot of bitterness. And because it's so bitter, they have to back sweeten quite a bit with sugar, and that's what adds that. Almost, it's just syrupy, and it's usually lower in ABV, usually in the 26, 27% alcohol. So when we make our limoncello, we actually use our brandy, which has already a lot of flavor to begin with, and we spend whole lemons, organic lemons, above our spirit in a barrel, and we seal it. And it's never touches the lemons never touch the spirit. The actual the liquid, it's just the vapors that extract that lemon essence. It extracts that essence, a little bit of the color, but none of the bitterness. And that way we can back sweeten slightly. We do that with actually honey made by a local beekeeper here, friends of ours here in Parkdale in Calgary. and we make an actual kind of limoncello that's more on the spirit side. It's at 37% alcohol, and yeah, in Cheryl, I see you love it. So that's like our orange liqueur that goes into the old fashioned.
So you're not using those natural flavors that I hear so much about from the national brands, whatever those are.
The very, very, very yellow one. Yellow. So a great innovative way to make limoncello. But you know what? You've mentioned this a couple times. So different names with different people that help you out in the distillery. So through all your Facebook posts, and you guys are great about Facebook posts. You keep people updated. It's really, we see that you have a strong community focus, and you've partnered up with, and I've got 3. So Phil Sebastian Coffee Roasters, Natto Gelato, and the Chocolate Lab. And you've mentioned a couple others. So do you want to just give a shout out to all the other brothers and sisters out there that help you guys out?
Yeah, like I guess the biggest one would be Spalumbo's. They're a household name here in Calgary, making wonderful sausages. They have a great deli just across the bridge over here in Inglewood, and they make burgers. And so I guess the very first product we did with Spalumbo's, they came in, they did a tour. They said, you know, Jacques and Daniel, we just love Amato. Would you make us one? And we said, absolutely, we will. And it was ours is brandy based. We put 18 different herbs and roots in there, and created an Amato for them. And between them and 4 other friends, which they called the Friday Club, they asked us to commission 400 bottles for them, just for family, friends, clients of theirs. It wasn't for sale, it was just for fun. And they loved it. We loved it too so much that we wanted to sell it here at the distillery. We asked them, we said, hey, Tony, would you mind if we named it after you guys? We call it Spalumbo's Amato.
Cool.
Said, absolutely, we'd love that. Go for it. So that's what we did. And the third cocktail we have tonight, it's called the Godfather, is because actually it was Tony Spelling who he said, Danny and Jack, I'm kind of sick of buying your bourbon and buying the Amato and putting them together and making a cocktail. Can you just make me a cocktail and we'll call it the Godfather? And we said, yeah, absolutely we will. And that's what it's 2 parts are bourbon, 1 part Spalumbo's Amato, and a few dashes of orange bitters.
Is there
Fantastic.
any star anise in that?
Yeah, there's definitely star anise.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Jeez.
Yeah, part of 18 herbs and roots that make the Amaro: star anise, fennel, cinnamon, cranberries. There's surprising ginger. So, but star anise and fennel are the driving.
I was going to ask about this one, the Godfather, the distillery that I invited on for a couple of weeks from now, Douglas. They have a whiskey called Godfather as well, and so I have to confess I cheated and I actually poured some of this a couple of nights ago. It's a very different whiskey or dram than what Douglas offers, but I was really curious as to what this will be about.
Right. So
I love it.
That's cocktail with Amaro, basically.
Yeah.
I get.
The Godfather has amaretto in it, but he liked it with Amato. So
I'm loving the orange on this. I'm a big orange fan. I love fruity whiskeys. Yeah, anything that's fruit forward, IPAs, NEPAs. This is it's right up my alley.
Dolph, it looks like you're trying to speak, but we can't hear you.
My wife's saying, stop. I'm going, I want to talk. I'll talk. So I was going to say, this reminds me of, I do school trips. I'm a teacher. So we go to south of France a lot. And this is an aroma that we get at the markets a lot at the south. So I'm in Nice or Marseille, something like that. It's fantastic. And I'm going to say perfumey. And in a good way. You don't usually say perfumey it with a whiskey in a good way, but it is. It's very pleasant on the aroma and on the palate. There's so many flavors. I'm having a hard time trying to pick them out. And when Dave said Star of Anise, that's the only thing that's coming forward now. But I'm trying to get I'm thinking lavender. I'm not even sure.
Lavender is actually not one.
No.
No.
I tried, right? I tried.
Lavender would be perfect, but it turns out that we could not work with it. But yeah, close.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And we talked about working with people in community. Do you work with other distilleries or breweries? Is that something that you guys do? Either make something one place, make something somewhere else, or just communicate between each other type thing?
Yeah, that's something we do. When we started, we were in constructions. We reached out to a couple of distilleries, Burwood and Last, and we work with them to develop our first brandy and our first grappa. We selected these guys because they were like-minded people, craft first, quality product. And now we're on the other end where we're working with startup distillery or other businesses to contract our services to them for making different products.
Thank you very much. And so no breweries type thing. You ever thought about finishing it in a beer barrel or vice versa, a beer barrel with a whiskey finish?
Yeah, we're actually looking at providing one of our Moscato brandy barrels actually to a local brewery here to do that, because I mean there's a lot of breweries that have used barrels from whiskey. I haven't heard of any that used it from brandy yet, especially a local one. So we're looking forward to that.
What kind of beer do you think is going to go into a brandy barrel? Because unlike a bourbon barrel, you're looking at something dark. You're a very dark, heavy beer, 10%, a stout, an imperial stout. What do you think's going in yours?
Well, I guess we'll have to chat with the brewers, but
I'll ask them. All right, good.
Our mind, but you're right. In a brandy barrel, typically there's no charred layer, so it's a toasted side of the barrel. So it'll be interesting. I mean, there's a fruity note that the barrel would impart. So a wheat beer would probably be an interesting mix to look into.
That'd be different. A wheat beer, because that's light, and I'd like that. I'd like to try that a lot. Any questions from the gallery before I keep plugging away with mine? Because I got pages and pages of questions. You know that. I sent it to everybody. And Kent usually laughs and he says, if you shrink it to the smaller font, it's only 4 or 5 pages instead of whatever. We good? All right. I'm throwing it out there.
I'm curious, and the size of the still, that's always my nerd question I ask every night.
The size?
Yeah.
So
Well, I missed that.
1,000 liters.
And do you fully charge it when you're doing whiskeys, or do you? Okay.
Well, all our fermenters are 3,000 liters. So generally we're doing so the ones behind.
Yeah.
We'll run 3 stripping runs basically before we have about another 1,000 liters to run through the still again for the spirit.
Well, why I asked that question is one of the books we did was from Isla, and I was shocked at the big distillers doing 60% of the total volume of the still,
or less,
6%,
and it was all over the place, and my mind was whirling because
exactly, and even though our still is 1,000 liters and we fill it to 1,000, it's actually there's a 13 liters of volume we could put into it. So consider it 1,000 liters. So it's kind of a nice thing that Vendome did for us. It's just you get an extra 300 liters for free, even though you bought 1,000 liters still.
Yeah, buy 1,000 get 300 free. That's not bad.
That's free that we found out. So yeah,
good marketing ploy. Richard, I think you had a question, but
yeah, I was just dovetailing on that idea of collaborating with other distilleries and breweries. I'm just wondering, And I posed this to Steve Lee at Douglas before, because he in Oliver, Steve Lee is in Oliver. The climate there in the summer is just extraordinarily hot and dry. And I'm just kind of wondering if Jacques and Daniel, if you've ever considered warehousing your barrels in some warmer climate, like maybe in a Soyuz or Oliver or something like that. I don't know what the liquor laws are as far as Alberta versus BC, but if there's a way that you could even work with Douglas Distillery and just see what the maturation process would look like if you were to age the barrels in a different climate. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. For instance, I've been at different workshops in different distilleries in the U.S., in Texas, in Kentucky. And in Texas, as you know, they don't so much calculate the age of the whiskey by the number of years, but by the number of summers, right? Because it's so hot that one season it's equal to basically 1 year in normal conditions. So what you just said is true. Oliver, with their super dry, super hot climate, would definitely extract the spirits into the wood, would push the spirits into the woods a bit deeper. That'd be a neat experiment. What we have here in Alberta is not so much the temperature, but that Chinook wind, which brings with it like the difference in barometric pressure, right? And every time there's a Chinook, like the liquid goes a bit in and out of the wood. So it's not so much by the temperature, but by the air pressure that we also, like we're jokingly starting taking notes of how many Chinook we've got this past winter, and we'll compare notes right down the road saying if this one has 15 Chinooks over this one who had 25 Chinooks, what's the difference? But yeah, we'd be up for something like that, try our the same spirits and the same barrel under different conditions.
Yeah, I think that would be super cool.
We've been
If you
asking,
can do it.
I agree.
I don't know if the government's going to let
If
you.
they had a barrel in 6 different spots in Alberta type thing, so your spirits have the exact same spirit or as close as you can get, 4 barrels or 6 barrels as close as you can get to each other. Put one in Drumheller, which is completely arid. You sent one up to Nairn in North Dakota.
And you know, she would throw one in the barn for you.
Something. And snowy Edmonton, where it's snowing in stupid June and May. It would be really fun to see how things like that would. You would just have to trust the people that you give these to. That's all.
You'd be welcome to send one to the salty coast of Salt Spring Island as well.
Yeah.
I would take good care.
Toronto. Yeah. Joss can take
I
that.
just got to let you know, the one that comes to Edmonton, we've got a really extremely high angel share on the cask.
Yes. 20%. 20%.
Yeah, it changes in Edmonton. It's called the Kent share.
Excellent.
So I got a question. So are you finding you're losing water or alcohol out of the barrels?
Be water.
definitely spirit. Like we found like 6 to 7% range, I guess, volume. But
So so I guess the question is, if you put it in at 62%, does it come out at 63 or does it come out at 58?
oh, like 64. So
So you're losing water. Yeah.
And
All right.
that's what
Good.
started to raise that water from the get-go to get some other extract from the wood, right? Not go crazy ABV at 65, 60, 67, and so on with the years.
yeah, we're 1,000 meters above sea level. It's quite dry in Calgary. It's quite a loss of volume, but losing more water than water than.
Yeah.
Jacques, I think this is the time to do it because I'm looking outside. I'm seeing the fire. I'm seeing 2 couples out there by the fire enjoying it. But I'm brought back to February this year, and I think about Calnavet, and I saw that you guys participated in the Bridgeland Arctic Adventure. And at that part, you had an ice bar, and you were inviting people up to the ice bar. And that reminded me of Quebec City. And I was only there twice, so I don't remember the street where all the bars are right at the top on the way to the fields. I don't know what it is, but every bar had the ice bar, and you go up and you'd have your shot. And often they were ice cups. So I'm wondering if you got that idea. Are you bringing your culture from Quebec here, or?
I mean, in Quebec City, as you know, the last 2 weeks of January and the first week of February, winter, all the people go out and enjoy winter. And with this Arctic adventure here in Bridgeland, it was the right moment to introduce to Calgary a different style, right? And we wanted people to do the Arctic adventure, come and have a bit of a good time on the patio. It was incredible. I mean,
yeah, it was just after, I guess, our second lockdown, I guess, with COVID, and we were only allowed a patio. Nobody really had a patio at the time, and so we decided, let's do this ice bar, embrace the cold weather. I think the first weekend it was minus 23, and we had our awesome ice guy that came out and did the ice bar, ice sculptures. We released a product at the time. It was just Chinese New Year, so we released a Canadian we called Baiju, which is a white spirit, and quite high proof and perfect for winter. And he did ice sculpture.
And the biggest selling spirit in the world. And people don't know that it's really harsh, like the Baiju, like harsh. And in China, I don't think very much comes out of China. So I'd like to see what yours was like in comparison, because I could barely, and I like my cast strength stuff, but Baiju is just, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Ours is at 55.8%.
That's right.
Yeah, and he made this ice sculpture of a dragon, and actually the dragon was so it was really fun. A lot of people came out because the community here embraced that Arctic adventure, and they said go to Bridgeland and enjoy the end of your adventure there, right? Like with we had some hot chocolate for the kids, and it was a lot of fun.
No, I think it'd be fantastic. And you know what? Quebec City, they embrace Carnaval, and they embrace everything that comes with winter. And we're starting to do that in different places here. So, Joss, I think your computers, my wife's saying, just ask you if you have some thoughts.
I'm going to get ready for bed the next time.
Unfortunately, our tent has a lack of plugs, and I thought I had previously charged this, but it's telling me I've got it fluctuates between 15 and an hour in terms of timing. But I just wanted to say thank you, everyone. It's been an awesome evening. Great samples, Bridgeland, Jock, Daniel. You guys are doing a great, obviously an amazing job. 1 year cask strength bourbon just tastes amazing. Your single malts are awesome. Just really looking forward to see what else you guys can produce with a bit more time. I'm sure you're, like anyone who is passionate about this stuff, is just, you just have so many things to play with, and time is your friend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joss. Fantastic comments, and completely. But as I go over here, and they're shaking. Looking forward to seeing you next week. We're having fun, and we're going to do this all again. So if you cut out, I understand completely. Jacques and Daniel, are you thinking about, let's go more of a Quebec influence? Try to get some other places around here with the whiskey bars outside or the beer bars outside. I know we haven't turned into a big restaurant hub around here yet, close to you, but you could, I think, couldn't you?
That's true. Yeah, that'd be great, right? As you know, Quebec City, Montreal, culture of patio eating out in the summer. It's here also in Calgary, but it'd be good to build that experience here in the 3 or 4 blocks around the distillery.
And I'm looking forward to it. So I can visit Mom and come visit you guys and walk to my mother's place.
You can crawl home from here, doll.
I could. Wouldn't that be great? And no, I do. Sorry, I need to ask you a question. So a serious question before we kind of delve into anything else, I want to know how you, as a new distiller, get your product into the different stores. How do you present yourself, present your product to go from store to store to store? And I know you did this great on social media. You showed when you were in Kensington Wine Market, a great store here, when you went to Highlander as well. But how do you actually approach people to get into the store? And I could ask Dave the same thing, but you're just starting out, so I need it from you guys.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, right, and a struggle because, as you know, competing for the same shelf space. So you need to differentiate yourself quick in the conversation about who you are and what you're bringing to the market. So that's why for us, our calling card was those until our whiskies mature and that we can point to it. Our ready-to-make cocktail was definitely a good intro to the liquor store because it's a relatively new category. Yeah.
It's we've had a lot of success with some of the kind of local liquor stores, like for example, like Co-op. It's been a huge supporter of us. They have about 20, 25 stores that we're in now. I mean, to be honest, we're so new that our tasting room was open 6 months with no COVID, and we've now been running a year, 3 months with. So we didn't have a ton of momentum to get into liquor stores at the time, but Co-op really came through. We chatted with them, and right at the time when we needed the most, right when the pandemic kind of started, they started bringing us into their stores. They offered what they called like me rewards, which were like rewards that they would get if you were a Co-op member. And yeah, they were a fantastic supporter, and they are to this day. So
nice, and it's great to get out there. And I think Alberta's got to be better than say BC or Ontario. Have you tried to get into BC with the BC Liquor Control Board? No.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're a BC distillery, there's a lot of, I guess, tax advantages being a distiller right in BC, as long as you're making your product 100% from BC product.
Yeah.
They basically have a very good tax advantage there. If outside of BC, not so much. So we haven't really got in there yet, but you never know. We'll look at that expansion one day. Right now, we're focusing in Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton. We're into Red Deer a bit here as well. Huge supporter of us is in Taber, just because we're.
You'd imagine.
Are the Mormons drinking your stuff?
Sorry, Jacques, you said 5 liquor stores in Taber? All of them?
All of them, exactly.
So tell us how much. Try to give. No, you're a math guy. You can do this. Give me a percentage of your Tabor corn bourbon that actually makes it to Tabor and is sold in Tabor. Are we talking half?
Oh no, not that much. Yeah.
But per capita,
yeah.
Okay. All right. It's a trade secret. I get it. Richard, can you shed some light on how hard it is to get into a place like BC or Ontario? I would have asked Josh the same thing with the liquor control board there.
To be honest, I have very little to do with the marketing and distribution and all that sort of stuff with regards to the BCLDB. I know that buying stuff from BCLDB stores is expensive. So I can only imagine from a producer having to try and promote it in there, especially if they don't have the tax advantages. It's going to be hard. I guess in a couple of weeks, you can ask Steve Lee that question because he's going to be much more insightful than I am on that. I just drink the stuff. I buy it, I drink it, I share it. That's about all.
All right. Thank you, sir. Jack and Daniel. Sorry, did I cut someone off?
Yeah. I was just actually wondering if you guys were going to start marketing your wine as well.
We just released a few bottles this year of our Gewürztraminer wine because we wanted to get people more interested in what we're doing with our brandies and our grappas, because obviously it all is developed from that. And and that's why we did release Gewürztraminer wine. Our very good friends at St. Hubertus Vineyard in Kelowna, they supplied us with their wonderful grapes, organic grapes, and we produced a wine based on what they provided us. Obviously, it's the exact same wine that we've produced to distill into brandy, and we've taken those exact grape skins, fermented them separately, and distilled into grappa. And I was just chatting with Leo a few weeks ago from St. Hubertus, and we were saying, we're going to have a little blind tasting one day between our St. Hubertus, Gewürztraminer wine and theirs. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That'd be fantastic. But that leads me to another question. So I did do a bourbon tasting with you guys. You did it on YouTube. So you had your bourbon and you had your cask strength. You also compared it to Bullet and I think Four Roses, if memory serves. So I'm wondering, because I see your post for Mother's Day and Father's Day, come buy this, come get that. And you talked about the wine for Mother's Day. Father's Day is the bourbon. And I'm wondering what did you have planned in the past that you couldn't do, or what are you planning in the future for events here? And I alluded to that with the carnival type thing, but is there something specific you're thinking about that you would love to, barring COVID stuff, or after we all get our second shot?
Yeah, we've been waiting to do a stampede this would be the third one, right? It will be going ahead. I think we'll have it limited on what we can do with that this year. But I think we're very hopeful for, New Year's. So New Year's Eve party. That'll be a lot of fun. We haven't done one of those yet. And I think a New Year's Eve at the distillery would be great.
Yeah. And always, like this event we did with the bourbon, it was to give a reference point to people as to how this table corn bourbon compared to what you can find on the market, right?
Yeah.
We didn't go crazy high-end bourbon or just entry bourbon. We wanted to find the right references point for people, and I think it was well appreciated and well received. So down the road, maybe something similar with the single malt, right? Something along the lines of people enjoying our single malt versus some decent single malt coming from Lowland, Isla, and whatnot.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. So last comments from the panel.
Yes. Last comment though, is your mom got an extra bedroom for New Year's Eve?
No, but we could find a hotel here. We're good.
We're here. We're in.
Yeah. Rachel?
I just want to thank Jacques and Daniel for sharing something new with me that was really good. Particularly the cocktails. Not that I didn't like the other stuff, but as far as newness for me, I'm not a cocktails guy. They take a lot of time and energy, and usually my whiskey upstairs, it doesn't usually mix because it's 64% or single cask or whatever. So this was eye-opening and a real pleasure. So thank you both so much for sharing and enlightening and helping us on this Canadian whiskey journey.
Richard, we have to introduce you to high alcohol cocktails.
I'm in.
They're in. They'll do it. They'll give you a lot, buddy. That's good. Dave, how about you?
Well, I've asked Cheryl and Kent to pick me up 3 bottles of each of these ready-to-drink products. So that probably tells you a little bit. I love the bottle. I love the story. And at the end, the liquid's great. So, and, we've listened to a lot of distillers talk for a lot of times, and there's always things that don't add up to me. The math is perfect on this one.
Doesn't matter. You're lying to me, is what he wants to say.
Well, they're leaving some stuff out and cutting some corners and that. But yeah, the math is good on this one. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Cheryl, last question, or was you just wanted to stay at my mother's house as well?
Yeah, that totally works for me. No, seriously, we came here about a year ago. It was the first time we had ever come and experienced what Bridgeland had to offer. And it's been a love ever since. Honestly, I love their products. I love their story. I love the people behind the brand. So I'm just very happy to be here tonight.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to round this off. I'm not going to say a thing. Jack and Daniel, you go ahead.
Well, we really appreciate involvedness. You guys are fantastic. You guys are great at like tasting notes, way better than I am, that's for sure. And I love drinking this stuff too. I just don't know how to explain the way you guys do. So I heard the comment tonight about cotton candy with our bourbon. I was like, wow, yeah, it's there. I didn't notice that before. So thanks to you guys for all you did.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, that's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a fantastic evening. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our fantastic panel. These guys all here. Dave, Ross, who's gone, Rich, and Cheryl and Kent, who came on for the second half. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this time with you all. Special thanks again. And I didn't say Dave. Thanks, Dave. Special thanks to Daniel and Jack from Bridgeland Distillery here in the heart of Calgary. I learned so much, had a fantastic time in the process, and I had entirely too much fun and too much to drink. My wife's driving home, so I'm good. Join us next Saturday, June 12th at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time as we go to Bridgeland Distillery, which is just 3 hours north of us here. It's in Nisku, which is really close to my hometown, Edmonton. I'm really looking forward to that night as well. As a special note, if you don't want to miss a minute of any of these in the future, like, click, subscribe, all that. And as always, hold up a glass, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the good company. All these cats here around me. Here's the good whiskey. Here's the good books. Good people, good distilleries, good conversation. Sláinte, everybody. Have a fantastic time.